Alright guys, Triarius Wargaming here, and in this video I want to bring to you the top 5 sets that I think Victrix needs to make Ancients Edition. So depending on you, I'm sure there's other genres or areas of history you would like to see Victrix bring out sets. What I want to look at is what do I feel like they're really missing from their Ancients range. Now, coming in at number 5, we have Unarmored Phallangites, Unarmored Macedonian Phallangites. Now, why does Victrix need to make this set? What are we missing out on here? So, I think generally, yeah, most of the phalanxes were armored, but also you have these situations where you have these kind of thrown together phalanxes where not every single guy maybe actually had the armor. And one particular example I'm thinking of is in the Ptolemaic Empire, when they were fighting the Seleucids, there was this time and period where they reorganized the Egyptians into the phalanx. So that would be really cool, like to have some options to make these ethnically Egyptian phalanxes. Like right now, you can do the Persian recruits that were recruited into the phalanx. Also, there is some speculation, like early in the Macedonian history, when the Macedonian phalanx was first being established, the there's some debate. Like the average Macedonian in that time was kind of like a shepherd, peltast, javelin-y type guy who was reorganized into the phalanx. So were the phalanx as armored in that early period under Philip as it would come to be later? It would be cool to be able to kind of represent that. And also, just other various levy circumstances. Like I mentioned the Egyptian levies into the Ptolemaic army, but also when Pyrrhus comes to Italy, he drafts in a bunch of the Tarentine citizens into the phalanx as well. And in the Antigonid phalanx organization, you had the Bronze Shields, which were more the peak troops, and then you had the White Shields, who were the kind of the less peak troops. So that'd be something cool to like mix in there. Anyways, even though like phalanxes are usually depicted as really uniform, and I think they were to a certain extent, it would be cool to have some options to really like mix up the phalanx and add some character variety, some levy flavor or whatever to it. And also, the last thing I'll say with the unarmed phalanx, if you believe Nicholas Secunda, some of the elite regiments of the Antigonid phalanx, what were called the peltasts, the Agema peltasts, were potentially unarmored in a lot of circumstances too. Honorable mention here, I would have included too the Theriophori, but Victrix says they're releasing them. They're kind of hinted at releasing Thracians as well. So those are kind of the honorable mention. It'd be really awesome to see those troop types. Maybe some Thoracidae too, throw that in there. Coming in at number 4, I would like to see Victrix remaster their Republican Roman range. Now, recently they did remaster their Greeks from their old set, which is I think the first one they produced, which is fine, perfectly serviceable, and I actually used a lot of the heads from those old sets. To the new set, which is just more dynamic, just a little better sculpted, and actually one of my top favorite Victrix sets of all time. I bought a lot of these. I used a lot of both the old and the new in my Greek hoplite project, but I've continued to buy even more of those new ones because they're just so useful. I'm going to convert a bunch into Carthaginians and Macedonian Hypaspis. But anyways, the old Victrix Republican Roman sets are good. I bought all of them. I bought some of them a couple times, but they are a little static. The sculpting is not as good as Victrix is today. Now, I think these are perfectly fine sets. I would keep them in production, but I think they could really benefit from doing some an additional character set, kind of like the new Victrix hoplites, just to add some more dynamic poses, maybe even some kneeling triarii, maybe, and then also, yeah, just to add some more flavor, more character, a little more dynamism, a little more motion, and those I think would tie in good with the skirmishing wargaming scene that is rising right now. I think the old Victrix Republican Romans. They're definitely rank and flank style. It would be nice to see that more dynamic movement in that set. And I think what they should do is they should just put all three troop types into one set as well. All right, coming in at number 3, I would really love to see some Hellenic style cavalry in the Linothorax. So Victrix does do a set of Greek heavy cavalry. I think it's an excellent set. It's really good, but the big problem is they're all in the muscled cuirass, and there are none in the kind of linen cuirass. So do I have a problem per se with the muscle cuirass? No, absolutely not. But to really get the look of like the Macedonian companion cavalry or any of the cavalry of that time period, you do really need to have that linen armor option. Now, there are metals that do the linen armor, but they just don't really mix with the Victrix cavalry. And to me, it just looks a little odd to have like every single guy wearing the muscled armor. Now, I love the set. I bought more than my fair share of it, and I'm going to be even buying some more of it to convert into Carthaginian cavalry. But it would just be really nice to have that option to mix in there with the linen armor. They did it on the Persian set. I wonder, so I don't know. I feel like they could do it for the Greeks. Now, honorable mention here, it would be really cool to see Victrix totally complete their Hellenic cavalry with cataphracts, but that is not such a big concern for me because you're not going to have that many cataphracts in your Greek army. All right, coming in at number 2, I think one of the biggest gaps in the Victrix range right now is classical Indians. So the classical Indians, I think now I could be wrong. I think it's the Mauryan period in India, Mauryan. But anyways, the classical Indians, Alexander fought them under King Porus in a number of battles. So a massive part of Alexander's campaigns, the campaigns that really, at least on a morale level, like broke his army and forced him to turn back west. So I think this is a really fascinating army. I mean, it's a fascinating campaign. I'm sure there's a lot of fascinating history happening in India in its own right as well, not just in the context of Alexander. But this army is just so eclectic, colorful. You've got massive war elephants, you've got chariots, as well as your regular cavalry. You have lots of different kinds of infantry, and longbows and double-handed swords. It's just like a very cool, dynamic army that would look amazing on the tabletop. Indian war elephants, I mean, we really need those anyways. I mean, these would just be the biggest impediment to me starting an ancient Indian army is there's no plastic sets, and I would love to do one, probably not in the next couple years, but in the next 10 years, almost certainly. Victrix, make it happen in the next 10 years. Coming in at number 1, we have the Sasanian Persians. So, who are the people who actually gave the Romans a run for their money, defeated them in a number of battles, and would be a really good complement to the late Roman range that Victrix already has? And that answer is the Sasanian Persians. So if you look at the battles with the Western barbarians, I mean, aside from the clashes with the Goths, I guess, the barbarians pretty much like almost always lose against the Romans, right? The barbarians really have to do everything right. The Romans have to do everything wrong, or the barbarians have to use tricks or whatever to win. In your kind of classic open battle, I mean, the barbarians are almost always going to lose to the Romans. And the same is not the case with the Sasanian Persians, right? This is the kind of in the Persian history of the Achaemenid Empire, which of course is crushed by Alexander, and then you have the Seleucids, the Parthians, and then the Sasanians are when the Persians kind of regained control. And they had a powerful army based of cataphracts and horse archers, but also a lot of like new research has kind of revealed that they actually had some pretty good infantry as well, including heavy infantry. So I think this is a real gap as well. one of the most important empires from history, one of the biggest opponents of the Romans. I mean, probably way more of a problem to them in some ways than the northern barbarians. And also very expensive to do in metal with the amount of cavalry. So this would be a really cool one to do. I would definitely do a Sasanian army at some point. If there was a plastic range for it, it's just the metals. There's some metal ranges, but for me, I can't do a full project in metal. All right, so that's my top five list. Comment below. Am I onto something or am I totally wrong? What would you like to see Victrix come out with in the ancient sphere? All right, so I'll see you in the next one. I hope you have a great day and a great week. Catch you later.